Are you missing the subtle signs that could indicate a loved one has only months left to live? Dear friend, if you are in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, or if you are caring for someone who is, this message is for you, because sometimes the signs that a loved one is approaching their final season are not loud. They are quiet, subtle, easy to overlook, but knowing what to watch for can make all the difference, not just for their comfort, but for your peace of mind too. In the next few minutes, we will gently walk through 7 silent signs that may appear up to 6 months before the end of life, according to experts from Johns Hopkins Mayo Clinic and Harvard Medical School. This is not to frighten you, it is to prepare you, to help you care more deeply and cherish the time you still have. You will also hear real-life examples like Beatrice, a devoted wife from Arizona, who noticed something had changed in her husband. She just did not yet know what it meant. By the time we reach sign number 7, you will understand why even experienced nurses can miss it and why it is one of the most reliable indicators, according to hospice specialists. So take a breath and let us begin with the first sign: dramatic changes in sleep patterns. Have you noticed your loved one sleeping much longer than usual? Or perhaps they are awake at night, restless, wandering the house, staring out the window, or simply lying still with their eyes open. This is not just ordinary tiredness, and it is not the usual fatigue that comes with age. It may be a powerful early sign that the body is slowly beginning to let go. Many families first notice that their loved one starts napping during the day. What used to be a short afternoon rest stretches into hours. Slowly, the days grow quieter and the nights grow longer and more restless. They may toss and turn, rise out of bed repeatedly, or remain wide awake through the night, unsure of the time or the day. This change is more than confusion, it is the body shifting its rhythm, preparing gently for a new season. Research from Harvard Medical School confirms what many hospice nurses already know, that changes in sleep patterns often occur as the body begins to shut down systems that are no longer needed. Dr. Susan Mitchell, a specialist in geriatric medicine, explains that as the body moves into its final stage, it naturally reduces energy demands and slowly redirects what little strength remains to essential functions. The brain's internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, begins to break down. Sleep and wake cycles no longer follow the sun or the clock. Instead, the body drifts in and out of awareness, conserving energy and turning inward. You might see your loved one doze off in the middle of a conversation or sleep through meals. They may stop getting out of bed entirely. And while this can be difficult to witness, it is not something to fight. It is a sign to listen and to love through presence. Harold from Tennessee was a retired schoolteacher who adored watching Westerns with his grandson every afternoon. But one day, he fell asleep before the show even began. Then again the next day, and the next. Soon Harold was sleeping most of the day and wandering the house through the night. At first, his daughter thought he might be depressed, but when they visited the doctor, she learned that Harold's body was preparing to let go. This was not boredom. This was a quiet transformation. Recognizing this change matters, because if we miss it, we may try to force old routines. Instead of creating a calm, comforting space, we may become frustrated when our loved one sleeps through a meal or forgets what time it is. But once we understand the process, we can support it with grace. Track their sleep gently in a notebook or with a simple phone app. Notice when they wake how often they rest, how their pattern changes, and share this with their doctor to help guide care. Above all, remember that this deepening sleep is not giving up. It is not failure. It is a natural transition. It is often the body's way of saying, I am getting ready to rest. Sit with them, hold their hand, speak gently, or simply share the silence. Sometimes the deepest love is shown not through words, but through quiet presence. In these hours of stillness, you are witnessing something sacred. The body is slowing, the spirit is preparing, and your love is the soft light that helps guide them home. Sign 2. Loss of interest in food and noticeable weight loss. Has your loved one stopped enjoying their favorite meals? Have they lost 10 or more pounds without trying, or begun pushing away food that once brought them joy? This is not just a small appetite change. It is often a deeper shift in how the body processes energy and prepares for what lies ahead. At first, it may seem small. They leave a few bites on the plate or say they are not hungry, even when it is a favorite dish. Then over time, meals become smaller. Dessert is skipped entirely, And eventually, they may stop asking about food altogether. Mayo Clinic specialists in end-of-life care explain that this happens because the digestive system begins to slow down as the body enters its final stage. Energy is no longer used for processing food, but is instead preserved for the most essential internal functions. Dr. Jennifer Rodriguez from Mayo Clinic shares that the body's metabolic needs drop dramatically, and what once tasted good may now feel heavy, unpleasant, or even nauseating. This change is not stubbornness, it is not sadness, it is the body's way of redirecting focus inward, of slowly letting go in a way that words cannot fully express. Ethel from Michigan had always loved Sunday dinners with her family. For 60 years, she served roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and her famous apple pie, but one day her family noticed she only took 2 small bites and pushed her plate away. She said nothing about dessert and didn't ask for second helpings. Over the next few weeks, the pattern continued, and within 2 months, she had lost 15 pounds. Her family was worried and tried offering snacks, smaller meals, even spoon-feeding, but Ethel gently declined a medical evaluation. Confirmed what they were beginning to sense: her body was transitioning. When families don't recognize this appetite loss for what it is, they often spend precious time trying to fight it, counting calories, preparing meals with hope, and becoming discouraged when nothing helps. But medical professionals say that this is a natural part of the journey, and it is better to shift the focus from nutrition to comfort. Offer small portions without pressure. Provide favorite soft foods that soothe rather than stimulate, and focus on creating calm mealtime moments with music, light conversation, or simple presence. Track intake gently in a food diary and document weight changes weekly. Then share that information with the care team so everyone can stay aligned in supporting comfort and dignity. What matters now is not how many calories are eaten, but how deeply your loved one feels safe, supported, and at peace. So, if they begin turning away from food, take it not as rejection, but as a sign that the body is entering a sacred season. It is slowing down, preparing, releasing, and your understanding presence can bring more comfort than any meal ever could. Sign 3. Increasing social withdrawal and disengagement. Have you noticed your loved one becoming quieter lately? Are they no longer calling friends, no longer joining family dinners, or responding to messages that once made them smile? This quiet withdrawal is often mistaken for sadness or fatigue, but it can be something much deeper, something more sacred. When someone who used to be social suddenly begins to pull away, it may not be because they are depressed or upset. It may be that their spirit is beginning to prepare for the next chapter. It is a process that hospice caregivers and researchers at Johns Hopkins call psychological disengagement, a natural emotional step as the end of life gently approaches. Dr. Michael Chun from Johns Hopkins explains that this quiet withdrawal is not rejection of loved ones, but a turning inward, a shift from outer distractions to inner reflection and peace. It is as if the person is slowly loosening their hold on the world, not with fear, but with grace, letting go of earthly conversations, events, and even favorite activities to make space for rest, reflection, and spiritual readiness. This change often surprises families, especially when it seems to go against a lifetime of social habits. Franklin from Ohio had played poker with his friends every Thursday night for 25 years and never once missed his grandson's baseball games. But one spring, he stopped calling the group, stopped attending family events, and began spending more time alone, sitting on the porch or quietly listening to music. At first, his family thought he was just going through a hard time. They gave him space, not realizing that his spirit had already begun preparing for something greater. 6 months later, doctors confirmed that Franklin was entering the final stage of his life, and that his withdrawal had been an early and important sign. Away, his mind and soul were gently separating from the noise of the world around him. Families often missed this emotional signal or misread it as moodiness, but recognizing it for what it truly is allows us to respond with compassion and understanding instead of concern or confusion. If your loved one begins withdrawing, do not force connection. Do not push them to return to old routines. Instead, offer quiet companionship. Let them know you are nearby, but respect their stillness. Ask if there is anything they need, and be open to the possibility that what they need most is simply silence and peace. This is a time to listen deeply, not just to words, but to pauses, to expressions, to the atmosphere around them. Their disengagement is not about shutting out others, but about tuning in to something only they can feel. When the outside world fades for someone in their final months, it is often because they are already beginning to glimpse something more eternal by honoring this space, by sitting beside them without needing to fix or change anything you give them. The greatest gift of all, the gift of presence, because love does not always speak. Sometimes it sits quietly, holds a hand, and walks with someone through their final season in peace and reverence. Family members often feel deeply hurt or confused when their loved one begins to pull away from conversations, events, or relationships without realizing that this withdrawal is not personal. It is not rejection, but rather a natural part of the end-of-life process. Healthcare professionals explain that this emotional retreat helps the dying person shift their focus inward, allowing space for reflection, emotional closure, and spiritual readiness. When families can recognize this pattern, they are better able to offer support without pressure, gently encouraging connection while respecting their loved one's need for quiet solitude. Instead of insisting on large gatherings or long phone calls, offer low-pressure moments like a quiet visit, a short walk in the garden, or simply sitting nearby. While they rest, do not force old routines. Focus on quality over quantity, allowing them to engage at their own comfort level. Your emotional presence, your patience, your soft voice can become more comforting than any event or activity. Reach out with love today, not because time is running out, but because each moment now carries more weight than ever before. Now, we move gently in a sign for unusual confusion or mental changes. Sometimes these changes are subtle. A loved one may begin forgetting the time of day or ask about someone who has long since passed. Other times the changes are more vivid. They may have full conversations with deceased relatives or suddenly display personality traits that feel unfamiliar. These moments are often misunderstood as dementia or delirium, but in many cases they represent something very different. According to neurological studies from the Cleveland Clinic, these changes can be the result of reduced oxygen flow and metabolic shifts that affect how the brain functions during the final stages of life. Dr. Patricia Williams explains that these mental experiences often have deep meaning for the person going through them. They are not just hallucinations, but may serve as a form of emotional comfort or even spiritual preparation. Vernon from Florida began speaking frequently with his deceased wife Martha, describing her presence in the room and sharing messages she wanted to give their children, although his family feared he was slipping into cognitive decline. Vernon remained completely clear about daily life and recent events in between these episodes. Medical evaluation confirmed that these experiences were not caused by dementia, but were part of his natural end-of-life process. When families do not understand what is happening, they may panic, seek unnecessary treatments, or attempt to correct their loved one, which can cause distress and confusion. Instead, healthcare professionals encourage a calm and accepting response. Listen to what your loved one is sharing. Document these experiences gently, including when they occur and how long they last, and consult with the doctor to distinguish between treatable conditions and natural end-of-life transitions. Creating a peaceful environment free from correction or argument helps ensure safety and emotional well-being during these tender moments. These changes are not something to fear. They are often deeply personal experiences that provide the dying person with a sense of connection, closure, and peace. Sign 5. Decreased mobility and increased weakness. Have you noticed your loved one struggling to stand from their favorite chair or becoming winded after walking just a few steps? Maybe they used to make their own tea or check the mail every day, but now those small tasks seem too difficult to finish. This is not ordinary tiredness or typical aging. It is a deeper physical shift that often signals the body is entering its final stage. This kind of weakness can come on suddenly or progress quickly over weeks or months. Tasks that were once effortless now feel overwhelming and exhausting. They may begin to need help with dressing, bathing, or simply moving from room to room. Medical experts from the American Geriatric Society explain that this physical decline happens because the body starts conserving its final reserves of energy. It begins prioritizing vital organs like the heart and lungs over muscle function. Dr. Robert Thompson describes it as the body redirecting resources away from movement towards survival and essential processes. Muscles may begin to break down, using protein stored in the body to support internal systems this creates rapid and noticeable strength loss that goes far beyond normal aging patterns. Carmen from Texas loved tending to her garden and walking down her driveway to get the mail every morning, but last spring something changed. She began needing help getting out of her recliner. Her hands shook when she tried to lift her coffee cup. Her family thought perhaps she just needed better nutrition, more rest, or maybe physical therapy, but a medical evaluation revealed the truth. Her body was entering end-stage decline, and the weakness was part of a larger process. When families do not recognize this for what it is, they may unintentionally create unsafe situations by encouraging their loved one to do more than they are able to do. This often leads to dangerous falls, injuries, or overwhelming exhaustion. Doctors and hospice professionals urge families to observe these signs carefully and adjust the environment as needed. Remove tripping hazards throughout the home. Install supportive tools like grab bars, shower chairs, raised toilet seats, and walking aids. Provide seating that is stable and easy to get in and out of. Accept that help is now necessary and that pushing for independence may no longer be safe. Instead of encouraging activity, focus on providing comfort, ease, and dignity. As mobility decreases, helping your loved one feel safe and secure is far more important than holding on to old routines or expectations. Falls during this stage can accelerate decline and cause added pain, confusion, or even hospitalization. So making these safety changes now is not just practical, it is a loving act that can preserve both quality of life and peace of mind. Each time your loved one reaches out for support, meet them with steady hands and soft eyes, not frustration, not disappointment, just love. Breathing is something we rarely think about until it changes, and when it does, especially near the end of life, those changes can be both unsettling and deeply meaningful. You may notice your loved one breathing faster than usual, followed by very slow or shallow breaths, or even long pauses that make you wonder if they've stopped altogether. These patterns can come and go quietly at first, then become more noticeable over time. It may happen during rest, in the middle of the night, or even while they are sitting peacefully in their favorite chair. The rhythm shifts, and you feel that something is different. Doctors and hospice nurses have long recognized that changes in breathing often occur as the body begins its final transition. According to guidelines from the National Hospice Foundation, these shifts in breath are among the most reliable signs that the body is moving closer to its natural end. Linda Garcia, a leading voice in end-of-life care, explains that as heart and lung function declines, the body adapts by changing how it breathes. It is not a sign of panic or struggle, but of the body slowing, adjusting, and preparing. These changes may include Shane Stokes breathing, which involves rapid, shallow breaths followed by a deep pause, or irregular breathing patterns that feel unfamiliar but are not always painful or distressing to the person experiencing them. Raymond from Georgia had always been strong even into his 80s, but one afternoon his wife noticed something. Knew he was resting after lunch and suddenly began breathing very quickly, then slowly, then stopped for almost 10 seconds. She rushed to his side, afraid he was slipping away, but when she touched his hand, he opened his eyes, smiled gently, and said he was just tired. Over the next few weeks, this new breathing pattern became more frequent, and the doctors explained that Raymond's body was naturally preparing for its final stage. When families see these changes and don't understand them, they may react with fear or call for emergency intervention, but hospice professionals stress that this is often not necessary. What is most needed in this moment is reassurance, presence, and calm. You can help by gently adjusting their position to make breathing easier. Raise the head of the bed, support their back with pillows, open a window, or turn on a fan for fresh air, and above all, stay close, speak softly, and be a calming presence. Track these breathing patterns if you can. Note how often they occur, how long they last, and what seems to bring comfort. Share these notes with the care team so they can guide you through this stage with wisdom and care. Remember that even when breath becomes unsteady, love can remain steady and strong. The sound of your voice, the feeling of your hand, and there's the peaceful rhythm of your presence may be all they truly need. Sign 7. Desire to resolve unfinished business. As the end of life approaches, something often begins to stir within a person, a quiet urgency to set things right, to speak words left unsaid, to pass on possessions, memories, and blessings that carry Deep meaning, it can begin with a simple request to see someone they haven't spoken to in years, or a sudden interest in writing letters, making phone calls, or going through old drawers filled with keepsakes. This deep longing is not just about organizing paperwork or preparing a will. It is a sacred emotional and spiritual process that helps the dying person find peace. Doctors and hospice care teams across the country recognize this powerful desire as a natural part of psychological preparation for death. Dr. Amanda Foster, a hospice physician with over 30 years of experience, explains that people nearing the end of life often feel a strong need to complete unfinished business because it allows them to release burdens and find closure. They begin to give away possessions, to share stories they've never told, to offer apologies or forgiveness, and to ensure their loved ones will be okay after they are gone. Lawrence from Nevada had not spoken to his brother in over 15 years, but one morning he asked his daughter to help him make a phone call. When the two brothers finally spoke, Lawrence apologized for an argument neither of them fully remembered. They both wept together, not out of regret, but out of release. Later that week, Lawrence began giving away his cherished woodworking tools, each one carefully chosen for a grandchild, a neighbor, a friend. And with each gift came a story, a reason, a blessing. At first, his family thought he was just feeling down. But what they came to understand was far more profound. Lawrence was making peace. He was preparing not only his belongings, but his soul for what was to come. When families miss these signs or dismiss them as morbid, thinking they may unintentionally block moments that could bring healing for everyone involved, they may brush off a final conversation or delay helping with an important task, only to realize too late that the moment has passed. That is why medical professionals urge families to listen carefully when a loved one expresses a wish to reach out to someone, to share a memory, to give something away, or to simply talk about what matters most. Even if the conversation is hard or emotional, it may be exactly what they need to let go in peace. Support these requests with grace. Help make the calls, arrange the visits, find the person they want to speak with, or write to let them share their stories without rushing or changing the subject. Hold space for the words that may be spoken only once. These are not just to-do items on a list. They are soul-level completions. They are the final acts of love. And if they want to give something away, let them honor their choices, honor their voice, because that gift might not just be a physical item. It may be a message, a memory, a legacy meant to live on through the people they love most. Honor these moments today, because tomorrow may be too late, and what feels like a small request to you may feel like a doorway to peace for them. Recognizing these 7 silent signs does not mean giving up hope. It means embracing a deeper understanding of what it truly means to walk with someone through their final season with love, with dignity, and with grace. When you understand what is happening, you are better prepared to offer comfort, not confusion, peace, not panic, presence, not pressure, because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is simply to be there quietly, steadily, without needing to fix anything, just holding space for what is sacred. If someone you love is showing these signs, know that you are not alone. Thousands of families face this season every day, and your tenderness, your patience, your willingness to learn can make all the difference. So, if you have seen even one of these signs in your loved one, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be the light someone else needs right now. If this video has helped you or brought comfort in any way, please like it so others can find it too. And if you want more gentle guidance for navigating aging, caregiving, and end of life with compassion and wisdom, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We are here to walk with you. Share this message with anyone who is caring for an elderly loved one, because sometimes one video, one quiet conversation can change everything. You are doing sacred work. You are not alone, and every moment of love matters more than words can ever say. See you in the next video.